I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist, a licensed marriage and family therapist, speaker, and an author. I would like to tell you about a seminar, The Power of Two, that I'm doing with Behnam Marchandet, which is a wonderful coach and a relationship and a business coach. This seminar is about you in your relationship, the most important aspect of your life, your intimate relationship. In this seminar, you will get how you have been behaving, how you have been thinking, your belief system, and your behaviors within your intimate relationship that has created the result that you have gotten right now. And will give you a lot of tools, amazing keys in how to create a successful relationship and how to sustain and maintain it. I hope you enjoy it.
Who's going to get up and have another dance? I want to go in pumped up and excited.
We can achieve anything if we can overcome this.
I think in this fast-paced day of digital communication and technology, we've stopped choosing to connect.
A pinch of delusion, a dash of audacity, and a shot of courage. We have to be willing to be courageous. That's where the magic happens, baby!
Woo!
Music gets me in state. Music shifts my energy.
And then your favourite song comes on?
Checkity check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I did it my way! I so shouldn't sing. Our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. So you have the power. So hard sometimes to be vulnerable enough to really look at what isn't working for us. Have you ever had one of those moments? That fear starts to creep in, that incessant voice in your head.
It's in those moments that magical things can happen.
Martin Luther King did not say, I have a strategic plan. He said, I have a dream.
Your desire to heal has to be greater than your fear.
But it takes big balls.
You're going to partner up with the person next to you. If you sit next to someone ugly, you should have thought of that earlier.
Maya Angelou says, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. Because without those hard days, I don't think we'd truly appreciate the ups and the great days. I hope that you all get to the top of your mountain and you get to see the view from the top.
Kirsty, many people ask me, what do motivational speakers do? Like, why do I need motivation? You know, I do whatever I do. Like, of course, they just come there and go rah, 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 whoa, 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 and that's all they do. But it's much more than that. Yeah. It's like before we do anything, we need our attitude to be adjusted. Because if that attitude is not where it needs to be, nothing is going to get landed. It's just, it just won't land. That relationship and the communication won't just land where it's supposed to be. And especially in companies and businesses where obviously it's sales and marketing and, you know, sales means that relatedness. And then by the time the product is in somebody's hand, it's not just the product. For them to come back, it has to be some sort of a human relatedness. And for someone to get connected to who they are, that's what you do. You bring that person, connect them first to who they are so that they can go be the best that they can be out there to sell the product and, you know, ultimately do the business thing that they're supposed to do. Yeah. Talk a little bit about what you do as, you know, in that relationship as a motivational speaker, and this is exactly what you've attempted to do in your book. So talk a little bit about your book too.
I think that motivational speaker is really just a term, like a job. Are you a teacher? Are you an educator? We need a term, and so people use it as a label. But I don't think, you know, and I'm the opposite. I get people saying to me, can you motivate me? You know, no one can be motivated. They have to have that urge and desire within themselves. But I think that as a speaker and an educator and a thought leader, what I do is I challenge them, I inspire them, I give them hope, I share lessons and wisdom and things that I've learned along the way. I encourage them, I'm a stand for being vulnerable. I create a safe place for the audience to do the same. So there's so many layers to what we do. But for me, it's more about getting them to have a shift in perspective, an aha moment where they leave and think a little bit differently. Or if they've been in the industry forever, sometimes they just need that reminder of something that they haven't done for a long time, to be shaken up or woken up or inspired. Yeah, so that was sort of the focus for me. And as I've gone along the journey myself as a speaker, I think you evolve and your connection with an audience evolves, and certainly is deeper and more profound.
And how do you take the vulnerability that you've experienced and you've overcome and experienced this path of utilizing your courageousness toward your vulnerability and then expressing it? How do you bring that into the business world? How does that type of expression of vulnerability help someone who is in business or sales or speaking to a customer or even in their company being with each other? Because a lot of times, we hold business in a place of non-personal. Like we usually even have like being professional and being personal. It's almost like being professional. You're not supposed to have any emotions or vulnerability.
Put their work outfit on, They dress up in a way that maybe they wouldn't at home. So we're taught to almost become somebody else when we go into the workspace. And yet authenticity is said to be the buzzword of the 21st century. And, it's really become something that everyone talks about, but few understand. And so for me, authenticity is about being who you are, not having to put a mask on, not having to hide. But that doesn't mean that we need to share everything in the workplace either. Just like we wouldn't, certain things we share with our mother that we wouldn't tell our partner, or our partner that we wouldn't tell our father or sister or sibling or neighbours. So I think that there's a difference between being open and sharing and being authentic and hiding who we are. And there's also certain places where it's inappropriate to share, but that doesn't mean you're hiding it. It just means it's not an appropriate boundary in this space and place. So what I've found is it's all about when you build rapport and when you truly are present with someone and you connect with them, whether it's a CEO or a large audience or one-on-one with a sibling, you understand what is appropriate and where the conversation's going. And sharing your vulnerability, in my experience, has meant that other people do the same. When you're willing to open up and let your guard down and share a personal story, they often open up with their own. And if you don't, then you stay blocked. Now, we know that we do business with people we like. We do business with people we like, and yet people spend most of their time trying to sell them instead of focusing on that connection and being likable. And being likable is part of sharing who you are. They can't like you if they don't know anything about you and if everything's guarded and has the walls up. So I think that being authentic and being vulnerable are incredibly important in the workplace and important in the work that I do.
Let's define authenticity, because you said this is the buzzword, and that's very true. We all know that in the age of technology, whether we like it or not, there's transparency, because almost everybody's got some sort of a camera and a recorder and everything, and whether you like it or not, you're being taped, you're being the pictures are there, you're being videoed, and then whether you like it or not, or whether people get permission or not, your face is going to be on Facebook and then Twitter and everything else that it's out there. So there's definitely an age of transparency. And then, so it appears that any age of transparency, you might really want to be authentic, because if you don't, holding secrets are going to be much harder than before. Then the anxiety of that, it becomes much harder. And then yet obviously has some sort of a vulnerability. So define authenticity as workable, as it works. Not just like, as you said, we kind of open up and then, say whatever it is, and it might not be appropriate. But to you, what do you mean by workable authenticity?
Gosh, that's a really big question. I think that it's different on a day-to-day basis and a scenario-to-scenario basis. If you're at the water cooler with somebody in the office, are you going to talk about what you did on the weekend. Is it appropriate? Does it need to be said? It depends. What is the relationship you're trying to build with that person? Do you feel safe with them? Because not everyone in the workplace is someone that we feel that we can trust with those kinds of vulnerabilities. So I think that it's about, in every scenario that you're in, figuring out, do I trust this person? Is there a connection? Building on that relationship in every situation and scenario when you meet them, and then being able to be who you are. Now, as a motivational speaker and author, it's very different for me. I'm a public figure. My secret's my life. I feel I'm willing to share on a level that I probably wouldn't advise everybody else needs to do, because there's certain situations where it could have a negative impact on them. You know, I shared a secret publicly that we spoke about in the first episode with you about TEDx, and so people can go to Google and type in TEDx, Kirsty Spraggon, and it'll come up. It's called You're Only as Sick as Your Secrets. Now, when that talk had been done, I have my television show, I have my audience who book me as an inspirational speaker, but I also have a client base that are from the corporate world in sales. And I really wasn't sure how they were going to respond to this, but I knew that for me personally, I needed to speak my truth, live out loud, and that the work that I was going to be doing involved talking about this vulnerability and these secrets. So I knew I couldn't do that work without sharing it. Interestingly enough, I got emails back from those CEOs saying, this doesn't change a thing about how we view you. We're so proud of you. We want to continue working with you. And so I think that there can be an incredible reward when we're willing to be vulnerable, but there's just as many people who aren't happy for you to do that, who think that's, you know, come from an older generation, who think secrets should be in the past. And so it's really a balancing act.
Don't shake the boat.
Yeah. It's a balancing act. And in every area of our lives, I think that we have to be figuring out, is it a safe place? Do I trust this person? As we start to open up and share in small ways and test those waters, and it all comes down to, what is positive for you? Is keeping a secret or not being authentic or hiding who you are or putting a mask on and dressing a certain way, is that damaging you and making you feel inauthentic?
And it seems like if the secret has been worked on, in a sense, with yourself, in that you don't hold as much shame about it, and you don't, the minute you say it, and other people obviously are going to have their own opinion about it, that we have formed some sort of solid self that we just don't get so shaken up if somebody has an opinion about it, and that people have the right to have their own opinion, although I like for me to have the right to everybody else's opinion. But however, people are going to have their opinion at one point. And am I going to be shaken up? And what their opinion is, their opinion going to make who I am or break who I am? Or can I be strong enough in the way that I can be, in the way that, in some level, that I am in a position of strength within myself? And then it seems like from there, as I talk about my secrets and as I talk about my vulnerabilities, vulnerability and strength is side by side at that moment. So it doesn't make me fall if someone doesn't necessarily agree with me or doesn't like, you know, my secret, or has some sort of an opinion that might be negative, that it doesn't shake me to my core anymore.
Yeah, and that, for me, part of what I said in the TEDx talk is that this is not easy.
Yes.
Don't think that it's going to be a rose-filled pathway. You know, healing ourselves and growing in that strength and that courage and that confidence is, you know, an uncomfortable process, and there will be people who aren't happy with you, and that might take time for them to get on the same page, because maybe you've had time to process this and they haven't. Everyone has different ideas of, you know, there were people who didn't think I should share this publicly. Keep it at least close. Why does it have to be out there? But I knew, because of the work that I do, I would have felt like a fraud had I not been able to share that. So it all comes down to the impact it's having on you, because I think there's plenty of people where really just sharing with a partner might be enough. I certainly don't think everyone has to share at this level, but if it's impacting your life and affecting you, then yes, you know, you really need to be able to, if you're feeling inauthentic, then that's where there's a problem.
Great. So we talked about authenticity, but you got more tips for people who are in business. So give them some tips.
Look, I think that the most important thing when we look at relationships and building is being present. I think that we come from this fast-paced day and age of technology and being busy. We get on the plane and God forbid the annoying other person tries to put their arm on the armrest next to ours, and we switch off and we put the iPod in and we get the laptop out and we turn away, and we're disconnected. So I think we have to plug back in and be present and connect with people. And we also then have dialogue going on in our head. What are they going to think of me? What should I say? Well, especially in sales environments, got to get to the thing. No, we do business with people we like. So spend the time on being likable, and part of being likable is being present and being connected with people. When you're busy and you're in your head, or if you've been on the phone and someone's click-clacking on there, we feel it, we sense it, we know that they're not there with us. How can you build a relationship and connect with someone if you're not present? So I think being present, caring enough to connect, being of service. People have started to see us subservient.
And what is the components of being present? As I hear you, one of the most important things of being present is actually listening.
Yeah.
So if you're listening...
Stop doing other things.
Exactly.
Put the phone down, put the keyboard away if you're on the phone. And if you're with someone, be with them.
Look at them in their eyes.
Yeah. No, don't give them like the weird stare down, but an appropriate amount of body language. Like, we all know what it feels like when somebody is truly present and hearing us. As you said, listening, feeling like I'm being heard, acknowledgement, not just going on trail to another conversation or whatever you want to talk about, listening to what they're saying and then giving them some words of acknowledgement to let them know, oh, I've just heard what you had to say to me, is so powerful.
One of the interesting, as you were talking, it dawned on me that a lot of people's obstacle about being present is that they're afraid that the other person might ask a lot of questions of them that they're not ready to talk about. And yet a lot of being present, it actually is about you getting out of yourself and being in the other person's space. So it's the contradictory to what their fear is anyway, because if you are listening, if you're looking at them, you're looking at their facial expression, their presence, their emotion, and you kind of like connect with them in that space, that's how you become present.
Look, I've never met a person yet that once they start talking about themselves, you can't get them to stop. People love talking, but you have to help them open up. And part of that is being present, being vulnerable, caring enough, sharing a part of who you are with them so that they'll share back. I think that the more present you are, though, the better and deeper all of your relationships will be. And you start to understand, it's like, have you ever been with someone, particularly fathers do this a lot, you'll be having a conversation and you'll be talking about something and it's almost like a tug of war with them. My story is better than your story and you're going backwards and forwards. People do it all the time. But they do it in the boardroom because they go in and they think, I need to talk about my pitch or my presentation, or I'm here to sell a certain product, or I want to tell them about this. No, we do business with people we like. Sometimes you just need to spend the time building that connection, being present, hearing what it is they have to say is far more important than you sharing what you had to say.
You keep saying this sentence, we do business with people we like.
Yeah.
So would one of the tips and the components be
likable?
Thank you, be likable.
Be likable. But as I said, people spend so much time making it so hard that I've got to sell and I've got to have a script and I've got to have a dialogue and I've got to close the sale and all of this jargon. It's so simple. We do business with people we like. And so spend the time being likable, being present, caring enough to connect, sharing a part of who you are. Build relationships with customers for life.
Be kind.
Be kind. Be thoughtful. Be generous. I mean, there's small things like we know that there's research that when we pay someone a compliment, I think it was a Japanese university did this research that when we pay someone a compliment, it activates the same reward center in the brain as paying cash. So pay compliments. It's free. Let people know what a beautiful top. I love the blue and the glitter and the color. Be genuine though. Don't say things that you don't mean. We were talking about your lipstick and how gorgeous it is before we started filming. But simple things. It takes a second to let somebody know that. Being of service. I mean, nowadays it's so easy. If you think about the last time you received outstanding customer service, most people can't think about it.
Right.
But what does it take to be outstanding? Remembering someone's name, going above and beyond, being thoughtful, doing something that, maybe lending them a loan car if you're a mechanic or whatever it might be. It's small things that really don't cost a lot, but it's just all been forgotten. We've forgotten to be present, to care enough to connect, to be of service, to pay people compliments, to be kind. But as I said, we get stuck in this jargon and this customer service and closing the sale instead of thinking, we do business with people we like, so how do I just spend the time on being likable, on truly connecting with a customer for life? I think it's something like 60 to 70% of people will lose clients because they feel unappreciated.
Yes.
So the amount of time you spend marketing to new people, trying to get new business, if you just spent that time nurturing your relationships and they didn't leave, it would save you a fortune. So I think that it's about being likable, being kind, being of service, getting to know, build deep, lasting relationships with the clients that you have, staying in touch with them regularly, reconnecting with them, and then they'll refer, have repeat and referral business and word of mouth business as well.
Thank you so much. It's been
pleasure.
such a pleasure to have you and share you with my audience. And I know
fast.
Well, yeah, I know. We're having fun. And if you want to see more of her, definitely she's going to promise me to come to my show again.
Yes.
But if you want to see more of her, go to kirstytv.com. You'll see hundreds of episodes that she's done amazingly with people who are sharing their vulnerable side, and maybe you can connect if you have a secret in your heart and you haven't been able to talk to anybody. And you will also see some of her work with the businesses, and her book is there, and her TEDx
That's on
talk.
my other website, my name, which is up on the screen, kirsty.spraggon.com. That's all the speaking and the book.
The book and the speaking, and go to TEDx.com and on her site, and you will see that. We weren't able to show that for obvious reasons, but definitely go and look at everything that she's doing out there. And for the support of our businesses, I'm also going to ask you to keep coming and showing up in our TV.
I would love to.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us. Until another episode next week, create a wonderful day.